and too soon to say. But pretty gutted about the decision to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody.
Could this be the moment the royal silence finally cracks? Sources hint King Charles confronted Harry over a private truth so explosive, it allegedly left the palace shaken. Rumors swirl, questions rise, and the world watches. Stick around, hit subscribe, and be first to catch every shocking detail. The evening in London seemed almost ordinary, but something unusual unfolded behind the gates of Clarence House. Two black vehicles rolled in with quiet precision, first King Charles, then Prince Harry. No official announcement, no photographers, no grand gestures. Yet the moment their cars disappeared inside, the world seemed to pause. Why did this matter? Because for over a year and a half, father and son had not shared a private meeting. Their last encounter dated back to February 2024, just after King Charles revealed his health challenge. Since then, itinence. No holiday gatherings, no warm family appearances. Suddenly, with no warning, Harry was here again. Observers knew instantly that this was more than a simple reunion. There was an air of calculation about the timing, the secrecy, and the way the meeting was arranged. If this were just about a friendly visit, it wouldn't have happened like this. Something important, something private, was clearly at stake. That long silence is crucial to understanding the weight of this meeting. After their brief exchange in early 2024, Charles and Harry drifted even further apart. Publicly, there were no joint appearances. Privately, sources described strained communication. Even traditional family events like Christmas or major royal occasions went by without a sign of reconciliation. Speculation swirled in the press for months. Were messages going unanswered? Were attempts at peace rejected? No one could confirm. All the public saw were separate paths, Charles fulfilling royal duties and focusing on health, Harry pursuing charitable work and family life abroad. Then suddenly, a turning point. On September 8th, Harry landed in London for charity events. Almost immediately, rumors flew. Would he seek a meeting with his father? Would the king agree? Even insiders weren't sure. That question lingered until those blacked-out vehicles were spotted, providing the answer without a single spoken word. To grasp the emotional charge in that 30-minute window, you have to look back further. The strain between Harry and the royal institution didn't start overnight. It stretches back to 2020 when Harry and Meghan decided to step away from official duties. That move set off waves of debate across the world. Then came the revealing interviews, major streaming deals, and finally Harry's memoir, Spare, which laid bare intimate family stories. Each step seemed to widen the gap. Inside palace walls, loyalty and discretion are more than traditions. They're part of the monarchy's foundation. Harry's openness challenged that unwritten code. For many within the family, it wasn't just a personal disagreement, it felt like a breach of trust. This history created an enormous challenge for any reunion. Imagine walking into a room knowing years of unspoken hurt and headlines hover like a shadow. In that light, the very decision to meet becomes striking. Both men knew that in half an hour they couldn't fix everything, yet they met anyway. Reports suggest the meeting lasted about 30 minutes, a short slot for so much unresolved history. That brevity raises questions. Was it a cautious first step, a way to test if genuine conversation was even possible? Or was it simply a formal courtesy, one final effort to keep a fragile connection alive? There was no leaked agenda, no press briefing, no official photo call. The palace remained completely silent. This wasn't a warm family catch-up. It was scheduled, structured, and likely carefully timed. Even without details, the choice of location mattered. Clarence House is more personal than an official royal venue, hinting at a desire for privacy over pomp. Still, 30 minutes isn't long enough for deep reconciliation. It suggests careful boundaries, perhaps enough to open a door, but not enough to settle every grievance. Perhaps the most telling detail of all was who didn't attend. Prince William, next in line to the throne, remained absent despite being nearby. He reportedly had no plans to join and offered no public message of support. For many, William's silence spoke volumes. His relationship with Harry has been under strain for years. Insiders describe a rift that goes beyond brotherly disagreements. From William's perspective, Harry's public interviews and his memoir weren't just personal choices. They were actions that shook the family's foundation. If King Charles hoped to use this meeting to begin healing the wider family, William's absence was a reminder of how deep the challenges run. Without William's participation, any broader reconciliation will be far more difficult. And yet, his decision to stay away may have been deliberate, allowing father and son to meet without outside pressure. For King Charles, this private meeting likely carried layers of meaning beyond immediate family tension. Managing a monarchy already facing modern challenges is a huge responsibility on its own. Add in personal health concerns and the weight of legacy, and every family decision takes on new urgency. Illness often reshapes priorities. Close friends of the king suggest he's become more reflective, more aware of time and of the relationships that matter most. Even so, tradition and duty don't simply disappear. Balancing a father's instinct to reconnect with the monarch's need to protect the crown can create inner conflict. It's possible that this meeting was Charles's way of addressing both roles at once, showing a willingness to keep the family line open while still protecting the monarchy's long-term stability. Whether it was a small gesture of care or a careful political calculation, it showed that the door to dialogue, though narrow, is not locked. Harry's approach to this visit was just as revealing. Unlike previous trips, he arrived alone. Meghan stayed in the US, and there was no public entourage. Even his charity appearances were low-key. This quiet arrival hinted at a different motive. It didn't feel like a publicity tour or a step toward more media coverage. It felt personal. For someone who has spoken openly about the pressures of royal life, stepping back into the heart of that world alone must have carried its own weight. Was it nerves, determination, a desire to prove he could meet on equal, private terms? Whatever the reason, his low-profile entrance suggested a man intent on keeping this meeting focused and discreet. No cameras were allowed inside, and no leaks have emerged. But based on years of royal reporting, we can imagine the themes that might have surfaced. Trust is almost certain to have been on the list. Could Charles be confident that their talk would remain private? Could Harry show he's ready to protect certain conversations from public view? They may also have discussed the broader family picture, how to move forward, what boundaries to set, and whether future meetings are possible. For a family whose public image is carefully curated, these questions matter as much as personal feelings. We can't know the exact words exchanged, but we do know that this was not an ordinary catch-up. It was a deliberate, carefully managed discussion where every sentence could influence what happens next. After the meeting, something remarkable happened. Nothing. No carefully worded statement from the palace. No subtle leaks to the press. No suggestive social media posts from Harry's circle. Absolute quiet. In royal life, silence often speaks louder than words. It can mean the conversation is too delicate to share. It can also mean no breakthrough was reached. Either way, the absence of commentary reinforced the sense that this meeting was different, meant to stay behind closed doors. For Harry, staying silent could be a test in itself. In the past état, his willingness to speak openly has been part of the tension. Choosing restraint this time might signal growth, or at least a desire to rebuild trust. For Charles, silence preserves dignity and keeps the focus on private progress rather than public drama. This single private meeting may appear small on the surface, but inside Britain's royal world, it carries enormous weight. The monarchy is more than an ancient institution. It is a living symbol that must continually prove it can remain relevant and united. Public trust hinges on the belief that the royal family, despite its size and history, can project steadiness and harmony. Moments like this, quiet and unannounced, become powerful precisely because they contrast with the ceremonial life people usually associate with royalty. A 30-minute conversation inside Clarence House might not seem like history in the making, but it reflects a crucial truth. The monarchy's future is as dependent on private relationships as on public pageantry. For King Charles, agreeing to meet Harry at all sends a strong message. It shows he is willing to bridge a painful gap even while dealing with personal health concerns and heavy constitutional duties. Monarchs of the past often avoided open family rifts by simply ignoring them or burying the conflict in protocol. Charles has chosen a different route, acknowledging that relationships matter and can't simply be walled off behind palace gates. This approach could shape how the monarchy is perceived in the decades to come. The younger generation in Britain and across the Commonwealth often values authenticity and emotional honesty. A king who is willing to quietly face a difficult family moment rather than hide it might resonate with people who expect their leaders, even symbolic ones, to be human first and royal second. But there is a delicate balance. Too much openness can invite scrutiny and risk weakening the sense of mystery and dignity that gives the monarchy part of its strength. Too much secrecy, on the other hand, can make it appear out of touch. By choosing a discreet but undeniable meeting, Charles may have struck a middle path, showing heart without putting private struggles on public display. There is also the question of succession and stability. With Prince William next in line, the relationship between the brothers indirectly affects how smoothly the crown will pass in the future. A fractured royal household can complicate ceremonial duties and public goodwill. Even if William did not attend, The mere possibility that bridges might one day be rebuilt can provide reassurance to those who want to see a united front when the time for transition eventually comes. On a global stage, this meeting matters too. The British monarchy isn't only a national figurehead, it represents centuries of tradition that still draw attention worldwide. Commonwealth nations and international observers often read family dynamics as signals of the institution's overall health. A quiet gesture of reconciliation, however limited, can help steady perceptions abroad, suggesting that the family is capable of dialogue and resilience even when private tensions run high. Critically, the meeting also speaks to how the royal family adapts to modern media realities. In a digital age where every expression is captured and every rumor can trend globally within minutes, the ability to keep an event completely private is remarkable. No leaks, no palace insider quotes, not even a brief comment from Harry's circle. That discipline demonstrates that, when necessary, the monarchy can still control its own narrative. And in a world where trust and discretion are rare, that control is a quiet show of strength. Seen in this wider context, a half-hour conversation is not small at all. It's an act of careful strategy, a test of trust, and perhaps a blueprint for how the monarchy might handle internal challenges in the years ahead. Whether this conversation becomes a turning point or simply a brief pause, it has already proven that the royal family can choose dialogue over spectacle, even when the world is watching. So what happens next? That question now hangs over Clarence House like a quiet echo. Will there be another meeting in the coming months? Perhaps one that finally includes Prince William? Could a slow, cautious process of healing begin, one built on small gestures rather than dramatic announcements? Or will the silence harden again, leaving this meeting as a solitary event that changes nothing? The possibilities branch out in many directions. One scenario is gradual reconciliation. If Harry keeps the conversation completely private, proving that he can protect personal dialogue from public exposure, it might encourage Charles to invite him back for further talks. The next step might not be a grand summit. It could be something as subtle as a phone call on an ordinary evening or an invitation to a small family gathering where cameras are not allowed. Each small private interaction could help rebuild trust brick by brick. Another possibility is a practical partnership that develops quietly. Instead of rushing toward full public harmony, Charles and Harry might focus on areas of shared interest, like charitable causes or environmental initiatives, where cooperation feels natural and non-political. Working side by side on something meaningful could allow understanding to grow without the pressure of immediate personal resolution. But there is also the chance that this meeting will stand alone, a respectful, finite gesture. Charles may feel that he has extended a final courtesy, ensuring there are no lingering regrets while he focuses on the heavy responsibilities of kingship. In that case, the door isn't necessarily locked, but it may stay only slightly open, waiting for a future moment when circumstances change. Trust remains the fragile core of every path forward. In recent years, private family matters have often found their way into interviews, books, or documentaries. If anything from this meeting were to surface publicly, even unintentionally, it could halt progress overnight. Maintaining absolute discretion may be the only way Harry can show that this time is different. Meanwhile, Prince William's stance will shape what comes next. Reports suggest his feelings remain complex, rooted not only in personal hurt, but also in a deep sense of duty to the institution he will one day lead. Even if Charles and Harry find a way to communicate, William may need more time before considering a meeting of his own. His eventual involvement will likely determine whether a full family reconciliation is possible or whether future ties remain limited to father and son. The broader royal household will watch carefully too. Courtiers, advisors, and extended relatives often play unseen roles in how relationships evolve. A gentle nudge from a trusted aide or quiet approval from senior family members could ease the way toward more contact. By the same token, resistance from those worried about image or precedent could slow things down. And then there is the public dimension. Millions of people worldwide follow every twist in this story. Their reactions, supportive or critical, can create subtle pressure. If the public responds warmly to even a hint of reconciliation, it might make additional meetings more appealing. If skepticism dominates, it could encourage all sides to retreat into silence again. This next chapter might therefore unfold in whispers rather than headlines. Instead of dramatic photo opportunities, we may see a pattern of restrained gestures, brief visits, shared moments at future events, quiet phone calls that never reach the press. These small acts could be the true markers of progress. Yet even if those quiet steps never lead to full public unity, the September meeting has already shifted the landscape. It demonstrated that dialogue is possible. It showed that despite years of distance, there remains at least a thread connecting father and son, a thread neither was ready to cut completely. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe reconciliation is possible, or has too much happened to turn back? And if you're ready to explore more royal stories and the hidden moments shaping them, watch the next video waiting for you here. Your perspective might be the spark for our next discussion.